I think over time will be proven right. And finally, we've got our guy, Michael Flint, former South Carolina Gamecock wide receiver. Wando is
What's
in the
up, guys?
house.
I'm having some technical difficulty challenges, whatever it is with technology. I'm not very efficient with.
No worries. The gremlins get us all, man. We're all.
So are you like in the map room at the Flint Manor there? You got the map going in the background?
Yeah, I'm right there in the den. Apparently, I guess here, this dial-up internet service, I had to get close to the modem.
Yeah, AOL, man. AOL. I'll hit you up on AOL Messenger if we cut off. Michael, just I've been asking everybody this. A lot of excitement, obviously, coming out of preseason camp. I think most of us, having been through what we've been through the last 10 years, are trying to kind of temper expectations. But I hear some really good things. Kind of what's your take on what you've heard, seen, felt so far during the preseason and your outlook for the season, which is right around the corner?
Yeah, I think going into this, or going into the previous seasons, I always feel like there's a lot of forced positivity, and you try to force, the good things and what you see the outcome of a season could be with different position groups, different personnel groupings, and you try to kind of, like they say, talking season, talk everything up, and the back of your mind, you're sitting there thinking, you're one injury away, or, are these guys really SEC caliber talents? And going into this season, I feel like it's different. I feel like it's been more of a quiet confidence, seeing how deep some of the, a lot of these rooms are. It's just a different vibe and a different feel. I think a lot of that goes into the coaching staff that we have and the type of communications that, the coaches have and so forth. But I think even last year there wasn't as much of a confidence and kind of that swagger that you see on the welcome home shows, that the last two that have come out. And so, I have a good feel. I've tempered the expectations a little bit more going into this season, just knowing what we've, talked about and all the other preseason hype from seasons before. And so, but I think there's more of a quiet confidence, surrounding the program going into this season, outside of others. And it's a different feel for some reason. And I think the type of players that we have in that locker room, the camaraderie that those guys have, the brotherhood that the team has, I think is just different. And, I believe that it starts at the top, and it's all about the culture and the message and, how this team is shaped and run. And, I think it starts with Coach Beamer. I think what he's been able to do with the program has really started to take shape, and he's really molded this thing into what he sees as, the University of South Carolina, football program.
Now, I'm sure you caught Mark Stoops' comment that he made: climate versus culture. You played college football. Is there anything to that? Or what was your general takeaway from what he said? I personally think it was just a cheap shot, but that was just me. But you've been there. You've been on the team. You've been through a coaching change, so you just tell the people kind of from a former player's perspective, climate, culture, can you turn it this quick with Beamer being who he is and all that? Just kind of address that.
Yeah, I think you can turn it. And I think one thing that has helped Beamer really turn this thing is the transfer portal. I mean, I think the transfer portal has probably shaved off, at least 2 to 3 years, I believe, because you really got to get the recruiting classes in. As you come in to a program that has struggled, you start to recruit. First recruiting class, you hope, is good. A lot of those freshmen, you don't want to see many of them have to go in there and start right away or play a ton of snaps right away. You want to be able to build the program and you utilize the experience and the guys that have some tenure. But I think the transfer portal has really helped expedite that. And I think what Coach Beamer did addressing the needs of the program was exceptional. I thought he did a phenomenal job addressing the current needs that we had from not only just a starting standpoint with the quarterback position, the receiver position, but also a depth standpoint as well, especially at running back and bringing in some guys at safety. So I thought that he's done a phenomenal job, and he built it the right way. And we didn't just take guys just to take them, but he also made sure they were a fit in the locker room. Watching the Welcome Home episode, talking about Spencer Rattler coming to Carolina and making sure that it was a fit. And, he spoke to numerous people at Oklahoma about what had happened. Coach Beamer didn't just take things for, what he heard or somebody else's word, speaking with others. He got it directly from the program. And so I think the way that he's vetted these guys, he's making sure that everybody is a fit within the locker room, because the one thing that you have to have within that locker room is guys that are willing to go to battle for each other every day, guys that are willing to lay it on the line for each other every day. And when you get guys out there that aren't willing to do that, it divides the team, divides the locker room. You got guys out there just doing it for themselves. And I think that plays a big part in how you build a program and how you build kind of the culture within the program, and really building it where you have that depth. You have your seniors that are those guys that are the leaders, that are the voice of the team in the locker room, within your position groups, in your meetings, position meetings, guys that stand up and hold people accountable and really make sure that everybody's doing their job the right way. And I think Coach Beamer has done, really a fantastic job. I think the one thing that, everybody, every Gamecock fan should appreciate is Coach Beamer's the one guy that wants to be at South Carolina. This is where he wants to be. This is where he sees his career, as a head coach starting and finishing. And he doesn't see himself anywhere else. And I think that's the level that, what we needed for this program, the level of effort that we need in recruiting and building a program and fundraising. And I think it's everything. And I think you see that come through with his passion that he has, not only for the state, but for the university.
Talking with Michael Flint here on episode 10. So it's kind of an anniversary here. Episode 10 of Inside the Gamecocks, the show. We hope Michael joins us, obviously, many, many times. Former Gamecock receiver. They call him Wando, ladies and gentlemen. Had a chance to meet him last year at the Kentucky game in person. It was quite an honor to get to know him, and certainly glad that he's joining us here. All right, so from a player standpoint, you always hear coaches talk about, well, we need player leadership. We need to be we need to be a player-led team. You've been on some teams. Tell us how important that is to have players within the organization picking up maybe where the coaches left off from a leadership standpoint. How important is that to kind of keep the team as a one cohesive unit?
I mean, I think it's a must. I mean, the guys are around each other 24/7. Coaches aren't always going to be around. They're in the facilities, they're on the field, not necessarily in the weight room with you. And so, coaches during the summer, you really don't see them outside of some meetings and doing dinner at the house as a group. But, these guys are around each other every day, all day for the most part, outside of potentially May. And that's really about it. But these guys are together all the time. And if you have that person that you expect to lead you not there consistently, then it kind of, you look around and you don't have anybody that really holds people accountable. And, I think the one story that I think everybody has probably heard recently that's probably really resonated with everyone and probably gives me chills thinking about it. And I wasn't there for this point, but the story that Ryan Brewer told about Phil Petty, when everybody's looking around, not knowing what to do, and then he steps up and says, "I didn't hear no bell." And that's like, man, you just look at that guy and you're like, I will follow him anywhere. And then seeing kind of leaders that can grow from that says, saw him step up. I need to step up in the defensive room. I need to step up in, position room. But, you have that guy that you can continue to look at when things start to go wrong. And you have that guy that can step up and be there and kind of lead everybody. Coaches aren't on the field with you. You got to have somebody that's going to be the voice of that defense. You look at a guy like DJ Swearinger and, being that vocal guy. You got guys that lead by example, but you need those guys that are vocal as well. And guys like DJ Swearinger, people would have run through a brick wall for. And he's on the field with those guys. So, I think that plays a crucial part. You got to have those guys in the depth. I think the way this program is being run and the way that Coach Beamer and staff are developing these guys. You're getting these older guys that are growing into this role. It starts at a young age and then grows as they get older and they become more of a leader each year, I think, which I think is crucial to building a championship program.
Yeah, I agree with you there too. Any coach will say that. Phil, you got something for Mike? Phil there. Dude, he's just like, oh, he's off. I just got a text from him. He says, I have no clue what just happened. All right, continuing with Michael Flint. I guess I'll take us through the rest of the hour, and hopefully we can get this thing back up. I don't know where he went. So anyway, all right, so we hung out Kentucky game last year. Just tell everybody what your favorite tailgate food is and your beverage of choice.
Favorite tailgate food? Man, I think it's one that I just enjoy. There's a pizza dip that Ryan Brewer's wife makes. That is probably one of my favorite things that I've had. We've tailgated together for a long time, and I think that's usually my favorite beverage of choice. Usually an ice cold Bud Light.
Man after my own heart there. I'm not a craft beer guy at all. So that's kind of one of those things. But
that gets tough during the day after a lot of them.
Yeah. I mean, you can't have. Some people like drink craft beer all day, man. I can't get for a night game start at noon, which is I'm sorry, at 2:00, 3.
We'll say noon.
Depends on if there's brunch involved, really, and all that. I can't do that and make it. I'll throw up if I have too many craft beers. Now, Miller Lite, maybe dare I say, even at times the champagne of beers. I can go swimmingly through that, so that's always good. Okay, Mike, we're gonna ask you, Michael Flint, former Gamecock wide receiver. Wrap it up with him. Really enjoyed his work on JB and Goldwater and hope he joins us here. Really knows the game, breaks it down well. And, of course, he's a heck of a player to watch. I still have it in my mind. I think it was you call it a 9 route. It was like a go route. You call it when the Gamecocks, was it 04 when they were the black, Holtz's last year? Is that right? Was that you?
Yeah, 04, yeah.
It was a 9 route. You just kind of went up and got it. I remember that play. So the poll question today, over under, and it's a big one, including bowl, 7.5 wins this year for the Gamecocks.
Including the bowl game, I'm going over. There's a lot of traits in this team that I see now that I have not seen in the past. Depth is a huge part of it. I think continuity is a big part of it as well. I know offensive line is potentially, was a struggle last year. I think some of it was schematic and, how tough it was. I'm interested to see how that looks this year from a scheme standpoint, how we block. But there's guys that are there. They have a lot of starts underneath their belt. So I'm going to go in the over. I think the offensive line is going to be quietly have a lot better year than they did last year. And I know it's a question mark, but I think those guys go up against some pretty dang good players day in and day out on that defensive front.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you this too. How because I believe you changed offenses at least once while you played. How hard is it going from one system to another year to year? Just
it's
mentally.
Difficult. Yeah. It is. It's difficult. There's a lot of terminology. It sounds easy. It's like, you go run a route.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of routes that aren't the typical routes that you would run in the route tree, like, the hitch, the curl, slant, post, corner. There's a lot of routes that coaches have developed where you get to a spot and it matches up with the quarterback's timing, with the quarterback's drop. And so a lot of it, terminology is a big part of it, and understanding what to do. Formation sets, it is difficult, and it's a lot more challenging than people would imagine. There's a lot that goes into it.
Yeah, and then the thing with the O-line last year, and I kind of, I don't know, I was a little critical of Marcus Satterfield and all that last year because it seemed like the offensive line was confused. But
Yeah.
After, everybody kind of settles down in the offseason and thinks about things. And, I mean, how difficult do you think it would be to go like three consecutive years with a completely different scheme? Because what Brian McClendon was trying to run in 2019, different than what Mike Bobo ran in 2020, and then different than what Marcus Satterfield was running in 2021. And then you change position coaches on top of that. So I would think that no matter how smart those guys are on the offensive line, there was going to be an adjustment period.
Yeah, and I think I was the same way as you, JC. I was extremely critical. There was things that I saw that I just, I questioned.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it numerous times. And then I go back and think, and I really think about it. I was like, our starting quarterback for the majority of the year was bringing donuts to an office 3 weeks before he started. And it's, you really think about that. And, he thought he had played his last football game, probably didn't work out much, probably didn't do a lot of film study. And you look at what what these players do during the summer of film study, workouts, 7-on-7, 1-on-1s. I mean, you're doing football related things every day during the summer. And a lot of times during the spring, I mean, we did things outside of, the standard, we did a lot of one-on-one work by ourselves. And we were that used to doing things. So we just kept it going. And there's a lot that goes into it. And, mentally, physically, he was kind of strapped, it hindered us. And teams could do things against us defensively that was probably pretty hard to prepare for. He wasn't a guy that was going to threaten you with his legs. And so teams were able to do a lot more to really mitigate what Satterfield was able to do on offense and not really allow him to open up the playbook as much. And so that's one thing I really go back to is really think about that and know that the playbook was not necessarily able to be open like he probably would have liked, and he wasn't able to do a lot of the things that he would like to do. So, all in all, last year I was, just as critical as you. It was frustrating to see a lot of the same mistakes over and over and over, and a lot of the same plays being run. And you think about it, it was, could he have really, could we have done it? And I think there were some things we could have utilized, with running screens, draws, and delays to really kind of stop that, just blitzing, all out, just bringing guys, utilizing some of that stuff to really slow the defense down and not have those ears pinned back all the time. But, I think this year has got to be a big step for Coach Satterfield to really regain the trust of the fan base.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is a big year for him. And I'm going to say this, the more you dig into it, the more I actually I like his plays, okay? Like he's got some really cool design plays. I think when your offensive line's breaking down, even Steve Spurrier showed us when they'd go through what I call the season of Hunt, where John Hunt would tinker with the offensive line for about 8 games, and then they finally get it right. And there's the fun and gun, Well, shoot, I couldn't get a pass off. Shoot,
oh yeah,
we got to just run the ball and punt. But they finally put it all together by the end of the year. Carolina can run and throw, but that happens. I mean, it's hard when you don't get the blocking or when your linemen are making mistakes and et cetera, et cetera. So, like the plays, was the play calling in the bowl game good? I would say so. I mean, you kind of caught North Carolina off guard, kept them off balance, and then ran to keep the lead at the end and just kept on running. So maybe those are some good signs. I do like the designs and ideas. My contention last year was how the hell are they teaching it, because there's some kind of disconnect.
I agree with you. One thing, JC, I noticed during that North Carolina game and games previously during the season is you see offensive linemen moving slow and their heads moving around. Like they're not quite sure where to go. Mm-hmm. But then you saw during the North Carolina game, especially, you saw these guys drive off the ball and fire off the ball. And I did not see those guys, that line fire off the ball like that consistently all year. And North Carolina's a good team, not to take anything away from either team, but I thought North Carolina was, a good team. And I thought the way that the continuity of the line, it looked like they knew what they were doing. They fired off the ball quickly. And so, that was good to see. Now, was it simplification? Was it just that extra handful of weeks that you were able to practice and something finally clicked? I don't know, but I'd be more than willing to bet that it was more of a simplification, simplifying roles and responsibilities and not having so many checks of, if somebody's here, you might do this. If somebody's there, you might do that. And not so much of a guessing game where one guy's on one page, one guy's on the other. It's, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to fire off the ball. Here's the simple concepts we're going to use and go. One thing I really look towards with the offensive play calling this year is really building off of, really building off plays, play to play, using plays to others. There was times with previous, coordinators that it was frustrating to watch because you would see things that would work, and you would see, especially specific types of running plays off bootleg, whatever it is, and you'd see defensive backs kind of rest a little, kind of get a little complacent. And then there's that time to strike, and we haven't done that a lot. We weren't able to do it a lot last year, but it's really being able to build off, build off the run game with the deep ball or some sort of bootleg play action to get Rattler outside the pocket, off of specific runs. So really building off of plays.
I thought play calling wise, I thought Bobo was just limited. Colin Hill was obviously limited. One receiver, Shi Smith, you're limited. But he would do things like that. McClendon struggled. Once the RPO kind of got taken away, I don't think he had a second pitch. Kurt Roper, people can say what they want about Marcus Satterfield, Mike Bobo, whoever. That was one of the worst things I've ever seen. I mean, he just – I don't know what he was thinking half the time. And neither did most of that coaching staff, including the head coach half the time, because he could draw it up on the chalkboard. And I think with Satterfield – the thing was, well, here we go again. It's another Roper who's good at the chalkboard and spent 1 year in the NFL, thinks he's Andy Reid and all that other stuff. But, as I learn more and kind of dig in, the stuff Sat's trying to do, and I think Freddie Kitchens being there to kind of coach the coaches.
I don't think people realize how big that is from a kind of that, and I say big brother standpoint. Having somebody looking over your shoulder saying, you might not want to do that. Here's what I think we maybe should do. I think that is bigger than people think.
Yeah, definitely, with all the experience he brings in. So that'll be good. Well, Michael, Wando, we hope this is not your last appearance here on the Inside the Gamecocks show. We're looking forward to talking to you more as the season gets cranked. Only 2 weeks left, man.
It's
2 weeks.
I know. Hey, I enjoyed it. I look forward to coming back. I enjoy watching the show too.
Yeah, 2 weeks from today we'll have Carolina calls, so that'll be a bunch of laughs, and then we're looking live. Oh, at Williams Price, welcome back.
Hey, I know, I'm excited. I'm ready for it. It's that quiet confidence going into the year is just I think it's a different feel for everybody, but still got to play the game.
Absolutely. Got to get it. That's not going to be an easy opener. Thanks, Michael. Have a good one, and we'll talk to you really soon.
Yep. Enjoyed it, guys. Look forward to coming back.
Thanks
Michael.